Election results right now with our senior political reporter Jason Whiteley. Jason, the big headline this morning, Trump's victory. And once votes started coming in on the East Coast, there were some indicators that signaled Trump would outperform his 2020 numbers. Did anything surprise you?
Yeah, not only did he outperform his 2020 numbers, he outperformed them across the country. In Texas especially, and we talked about this a moment ago, Cleo's going to show us here in just a second, about the Rio Grande Valley, McAllen, Brownsville, Harlingen, up to Laredo, Webb County there, Zapata County, Cameron County. Democrats had a stronghold there for years, but Donald Trump took those last night. His message resonated more there than what Kamala Harris was selling. At the end of the day, this is another problem that Democrats have waking up this morning.
We talked in the first half hour of this show this morning about the potential of Texas turning purple. We did not see that, but one of the reasons some folks thought it might, we've got an influx of folks from a lot of different states, specifically California, the idea being, hey, all these Californians are coming here to turn Texas blue. But I think I've seen some demographics that say it's a lot of Californians who are moving here because they want to be in Texas. They like the atmosphere here and the conservative political climate. Do you think the numbers bear that out?
Yeah, clearly they do here. After early voting, there were 9 million Texans that voted early. 1 million of those Texans had no voter history at all. And there was a big question. Well, which way are they going to go? Ted Cruz, 6 years ago, he lost by 200,000 votes. So is that million new voters here, is that going to change things? That's why Ted Cruz was clearly concerned going into this. He has no reason to be concerned now because the data shows exactly what you're talking about here, that a lot of these new voters are conservative voters. They moved here. The independents in the state even lean a little more to the right than to the left.
Anything else stick out to you last night? I know you all were breaking this down for a few hours.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I think the issue that Democrats were talking about for so long over the last few months is about women's reproductive access and rights. The abortion issue just did not resonate at the end of the day last night. And that is a clear message to Democrats that they need to go back and recalibrate. Democrats have been running against Donald Trump, just like Republicans did in 2008, running against Barack Obama. Democrats have to find a message that resonates with Texas voters and those around the country.
Yeah, we talked about it before. The abortion issue, when it's tied to candidates, maybe doesn't resonate. If it was a separate issue, we've seen some other states it has, but it did not yesterday.
And not in Florida yesterday either as a separate issue.
All right, so we do want to talk about the balance of power in Congress because that's also one of the things we've been paying close attention to. Cleo Green is in studio with us. And Cleo, when you look at the map, we've got a lot of question marks still, but we do have some ideas of where things are headed this morning.
Yeah, Vote 2024, all the results coming into the site this morning. Let's show you the balance of power here and what's going on when it comes to the 2024 U.S. Senate. Right now, Republicans have full control of the Senate, as you can see here. This hasn't happened in the past 4 years here, so they're going to have a big power play in Washington. I can show you right now that even if the Democrats were able to keep these 6 undecided seats, they just can't make up the ground here. So as you can see, this race has been called. Republicans have full control here in the Senate. Now, when it comes to the House, as Jason said, right now, there's just too many congressional races that haven't been called just yet. So it could take some time before we know what's going on right now when it comes to the balance of power in the House. As you can see, 39 seats undecided right now. It's very close to call right now. And still, those congressional races are being called. Let's take things back home. Let's go back to the state of Texas and see what's happening here when it comes to the presidency and Trump's win here in Texas, getting those 40 electoral votes. As you can see, Harris, she did really well here in Dallas County at 60%, Trump at 38%. But in our big counties like Tarrant, it was kind of neck and neck. Let's go up to Denton at 42% to 55%. And then here in Collin County, as we had mentioned, as Jason had mentioned as well, let's look down at the Rio Grande Valley as we can see our border here. As you can see what Trump did here, really securing some new votes. Because if we look back maybe at 2020 to see what's going on down here, you can see some things changed here, right? Biden was able to hold his ground here at the border, but Trump got those new votes. He got those new votes for this year, for 2024, to secure that. So those are things that changed here. And if we look at the race between Cruz and Allred, you can see he did really well here in those rural counties. That's Trump's plan as well, getting those votes in the rural counties as well. Now, Allred, he did well in Dallas County. He did well over there in Tarrant, a little neck and neck there. But as I said, in those rural counties, he really dominating the win, like in Grayson County at 74%, Allred at 23%. But the big story is really down by the border to see how those things changed and what voters truly care about. Obviously, it's immigration and border control. I'll send it back to you, Jason.
All right, Cleo, thanks a lot.
Yeah.
You know, the other big race is here in the Texas Senate race, with Senator Ted Cruz winning that decisive third term over North Texas Congressman Colin Allred. Teresa Woodard up with us early. She's been spending the weekend here in Houston with the Cruz campaign. Teresa, it's a celebration for Republicans for Ted Cruz' decisive win last night. I hope you do get some breakfast tacos there, and I hope the Cruz campaign tells you where to go.
Well, we'll see about that. That's TBD. But yeah, you know, definitely one of the big stories that is coming out of Houston this morning is just how exactly Ted Cruz was able to pull this off, outperform all of the polls, and win so decisively. You and Cleo have been talking about this, but I really want to drill down a little bit more. There was one demographic group that Ted Cruz mentioned in his victory speech last night, the Latino vote.
We are witnessing incredible results, especially with Hispanics across the state of Texas. And we are seeing tonight generational change in South Texas.
It will take a while to parse through all the data when it comes to the gender and the age of some of these voters, but the border was absolutely key to Cruz's victory, with several counties flipping from blue to red. Colin Allred talked about his ties to the Valley throughout his campaign. His mom grew up in Brownsville. Clearly that message did not break through. Last night, Allred did call Cruz and concede, and he said this to his supporters back home in Dallas.
And so I don't want to see anybody putting their heads down. I want you to put your shoulders back and your head up and walk out of here tall that you participated in an American election. That's what we do. Because in this country, we don't settle our differences in the streets. We don't settle it with violence. We settle it at the ballot box. And if we don't win, then we dust ourselves off and we come back the next time.
Here is one more quote from Ted Cruz about the change at the border. He said this wasn't just Hispanic communities leaving the Democratic Party. They are coming home to conservative values that they never left. The big question, of course, is this a permanent shift to the right? It's going to take a while for us to determine that. We'll send it back to you.
All right. Thank you, Teresa. We appreciate it. Get some rest. I think everyone a little blurry-eyed this morning. I mentioned as I was coming in today about midnight, you all were just wrapping up a podcast.
We were. We did a special podcast last night about how the Republicans in the state gave a thrashing to Democrats in the state, which we've been discussing here in the 6 o'clock hour. I do want to point out one thing. I texted the Cruz campaign last night after these numbers started coming in, and it was showing a clear win. And the contact at the Cruz campaign said, thanks a lot. We appreciate that. And by the way, the senator was wearing his lucky tie that he had on right here in this studio, right here in this spot when he participated in the debate just a few weeks ago.
It was lucky yet again. I do wonder how much fatigue for the voters, kind of settles in and leads to their choices, because it does feel like, look, we're going to start talking very quickly about, okay, who's running in 4 years from now, or, 6 years from now for the Ted Cruz's Senate seat. But at some level, voters, I know this election cycle, were very tired, exhausted.
It will be nice not to have the texts come across our cell phones, not to have the TV commercials pop up all the time. I think we do have a few minutes here, but I will say we are 60 days away from the state legislative session starting down in Austin, so expect to see school vouchers, to hear a lot about that and the other issues that Texas Republicans can now go to the state capitol with and say, listen, we have a mandate from voters.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. This never stops for Jason Whiteley. Okay. Thanks, Jason.
You need some breakfast, though.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
We're going to have a special hour of Daybreak this morning starting at 7 o'clock, so we can bring you even more results and analysis. You can watch for free on our streaming app, WFA Plus, on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV.